Live from the 607, it's the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour, where we're talking everything going on in the world of sports. Join in the conversation on social media with the hashtag ODPH, because here we go.
Instead of looking deep inside, every word I have to say, keep it simple.
Welcome to an all-new edition of the ODPH podcast. What is going on, everyone? Thank you so much for joining us this week. My name is Ken M. Joining me in studio, as always, you know him. He's the co-host. He's the statistician to the stars. His name is Padawan J.
Well, let me talk to you.
And-
Still just as many wins as the Florida State Seminoles.
Oh, he's not letting that go, folks.
Week 3. And they're 0-3.
Oh, yeah, we have a lot to talk about in the land of the world of sports. That is why you tuned in. This is a sports edition of the ODPH, and we definitely like keeping those conversations rolling after the show. So, Pat, where does everybody go?
ODPHpodcast.com.
Right on. Swing it over to the website. Check out the TeePublic store link. A lot of stuff is happening over there, so you definitely don't want to miss out heading into the fall season, especially con season, because if you want to go support the brand out at your favorite convention, this is the time to go get stuff because there's a lot of things happening.
Especially if you're in the northern hemisphere of the planet, not necessarily just the U.S., but the planet's going to start getting a little chilly, going to start getting a little colder. You know, your favorite sweatshirt might be a little worn, might be a little loose around the collar, a little loose around the sleeves. You know, get something a little nice, a little fresh, a little fit you nice and snug.
There you go. I mean, we have a lot of Parlay Club stuff that's been flying out of the stores, so definitely make sure to go check it out. Also, while you're there, checking out the social media links. A lot of stuff is happening over there. We also have the blog section. We got the friends of the show, such as 3FM Podcast, Dragon Master Games, Nerd Initiative, under Classifieds, and the directory. Pat, how many providers are we on?
We are on 328,936.
Exactly. We have so much going on. I often forget or I often repeat it because, you know what, it's so good. That's why you definitely want to make sure you know about it, such as the music section, because we have a lot of friends that are out playing shows right now up and down the East Coast. Shout out to Brian Wolf and the Howlers, Second Suitor, Tom Jolu, Floodland, shout out to the Robots. A lot of great stuff. So you want to go get that music that you hear on the show, boom, there it is right there on the link. And for anything else that is the ODPH, you can find it at odphpodcast.com. And always remember on social media to use the hashtag ODPHpod. We're talking sports. We're talking the NFL. It's a great week to talk some Buffalo Bills football. So, Pad, shall we kick that off?
Sure.
All right, let's do it.
Yeah, so we're talking week 2 in the NFL, and we're going to start with our locks and leaps. And boy, this was a rough week for locks.
Yes.
Good God. One of the locks I chose was for the Dallas Cowboys to beat the New Orleans Saints, and this was one part bad because, well, I didn't get it right. Other part good because guess who's got Alvin Kamara on 2 of his fantasy football teams? This guy.
Yeah.
Put it to you this way. One team I forgot to sit A.J. Brown. From the Philadelphia Eagles, because I was like, oh yeah, I took him off my team already, forgetting he was on the other one. Didn't matter because I have Kamara. But yeah, the New Orleans Saints won by the final score of 44-19. Derek Carr, 11-16, 243 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, just 1 interception. Dak Prescott, 27 of 39 for 293 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Rico Dowdle led the way for Dallas in rushing with 7 carries and 30 yards, no touchdowns. Alvin Kamara, 20 carries, 115 yards, 3 touchdowns. And then for receiving, Rashid Shaheed led the way with 4 catches, 96 yards, and 1 touchdown. Should note also as well, Alvin Kamara, 2 catches, 65 yards, and 1 touchdown. So we had 4 touchdowns overall on the day. For the Dallas Cowboys, it was C.D. Lamb leading the way with 4 catches, 90 yards, and only 1 touchdown.
We'll call the audible and get this game out of the way first because I know for Dallas fans, shout out to Dre Driven.
Hey, Al.
This was a long Sunday for your defense.
Yeah, it was.
Your offense did not look that bad, honestly. Dak did not have a great game with the 2 interceptions, but
it was like his first time ever or something like that.
Yeah, he really makes this kind of big mistakes.
Yeah.
But when you're pressing to catch up because your team gives up 35 points in the first half,
yeah,
you might have to hit the panic button, and I think they did that. I thought Derek Carr played very well. Alvin Kamara just tore that defense apart.
Yeah, they did.
And they really had a dazed look on their face, like what just hit us. And this is very shocking for Dallas, especially at home. They play a lot better, but this was a rare case of they got hit early and they got hit often, and they had no response. And this led to a lot of mistakes on the offensive side, just trying to play catch-up.
Yeah.
So that's where I took it.
Alvin Kamara, like you said, had a great game. Jamal Williams did as well. 8 carries, 39 yards. So Kamara averaged 5.8 yards a carry. Williams averaged 4.9 yards a carry. Those two numbers combined, 10.7 yards a carry. Wow. So when you got two running backs averaging a first down every carry, yeah, that does fairly well for yourself. I also wonder, perhaps, I realize it's early in the season and upsets like this happen, and at any given Sunday, all that jazz. I'm looking at the Dallas Cowboys schedule. And there's a certain team that's coming into town next weekend that's high caliber, a lot of news about them, and like they get a lot of the focus considering who their quarterback is. No, I'm not talking about Kansas City. It's the Baltimore Ravens. Could perhaps Dallas have been looking past the New Orleans Saints going, you know what? They're the Saints. They're good. They're not on our level. We should be able to beat them fairly easily. And then they got punched in the mouth and went, uh-oh.
I think that is a case. I mean, obviously, getting the win week 1 against Cleveland, I think, kind of gave them a little boost of confidence.
A little bit of swagger.
A little bit, but you can't take any team lightly in the NFL.
Especially this early.
Yeah, and especially the Saints, who have been a big question mark for a while now.
Uh-huh.
You don't know what team you're going to get out of them. So if you're not imposing your will, as we like to say talking UFC, you're going to wind up making mistakes. And this defense did, because Kamara is not Kamara of old.
Nope.
So the fact that he was running like he burst onto the scene is a really troubling thing if you're a Dallas fan with that defense.
Great if you're a Kamara fantasy owner.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, for fantasy football-wise, yeah, this is a great day if you had anybody that's on the Saints. But for the Dallas fans, this is troublesome.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of the easiest way to put this.
Not full-blown panic mode.
No.
We're not hitting the big red button that says push in case of emergency. But you're raising an eyebrow. You're going, okay. Because nobody really expected the Saints to do much going into this season. At least I don't think
nobody did. Let's be honest.
Nobody did. I mean, it's the NFC South, as we said in our preview episode we did a couple weeks ago. Listen, somebody has to win this goddamn division. Neither of us chose the Saints to win that division. We both picked the Bucks.
Mm-hmm.
And neither one of us had. I'm looking at the spreadsheet I did for when we did those predictions. Neither one of us had the Saints even making it on a wild card basis. So it's like, okay, you've got Derek Carr, and Derek Carr is good. When he's not having one of his off games. But then the rest of it is just so unknown. Like, okay, which version of Kamara is going to show up? Is it going to be the one from a couple of years ago that single-handedly helped propel me in the fantasy football playoffs? Or is it going to be the one from last year that was just a stinker?
Yeah.
And then you're looking at the receiving core. Nothing against them, but this ain't, the Jimmy Graham from 10, 15 years ago, and this ain't the Michael Thomas or Brandon Cooks from, 10, 15 years ago. Like, none of these guys are exactly, okay, Rashid Shaheed, great game. Am I exactly going to, draft him, as my top wide receiver next year in fantasy right now? No. Chris Olave, again, if I need to fill out my bench and I need a guy to fill in for receivers, for a couple of weeks when I got guys on buys, okay, I might give it a consideration, but I'm not taking him as a starter. And Taysom Hill, listen, dude's dynamic, but 1 catch, 1 yard, no touchdowns. I'm not picking him for anything. So you look at this receiving core, and it's not sexy. Like, it's decent. It's got good stats. But you're not going to sit there and ask me, give me the top 5 receiving cores in the NFL. New Orleans ain't making the list.
No.
So this is a team that Dallas, on paper, should beat. And I'm not saying by 3, 4, 5 scores.
No, but they should have at least won by a touchdown.
A touchdown, hell, I'll even give them a field goal. Just because I know New Orleans and that defense over the years has been scrappy, but the fact that they got blown out this badly and by halftime, yikes.
Well, I think you hit the nail right on the head. I think they were looking ahead to Baltimore. They defeated a Cleveland defense, which is very highly ranked.
Yep.
And they were probably thinking the same thing that we do, is the NFC South, nobody cares. Let's just let's just go through the motions and go do this. But I think that when you underestimate your opponent in the NFL especially, this is where you get embarrassed, and this is a case of full embarrassment. So the question is now going to be, they have Baltimore coming up next.
Yep.
They're going to need to win this to really put some positive spin on this game. You can call it a fluke, you can call it whatever, because Baltimore will play much more physical.
Yeah.
And if they can't handle Alvin Kamara, what are you going to do with the dual threat of Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry? And even Derrick Henry of old is still going to
punch you in the mouth.
Yeah, he's going to punch you right in the mouth. So for them, they need to focus on that and regrouping, because if they go down 1-2, which could distinctly happen, by the way, there's going to be a lot of question marks coming around this defense.
Yeah.
And because I think Dak is going to have his hands full with the Baltimore defense, which is very, very good.
Yeah.
But I think ultimately it comes down to the defensive side of the ball for the Cowboys. And if they keep having games like this, there's going to be some problems.
And I'll just say this, because I'm looking at the standings, and you got the points for and points against. New Orleans looking very good early on. They've got 91 points for, 29 points against. They got a plus 62 differential. So very early. It's very good.
Yeah, but you know what? First game was against Carolina.
That's true.
That's true. We'll get into that in a little bit.
That's true. So for those New Orleans Saints, the next couple of games, this upcoming Sunday, they're at home against the Philadelphia Eagles. After that, they're on the road playing the Atlanta Falcons. And then week 5 on the road playing the Kansas City Chiefs. That'll be on Monday Night Football. And then week 6, they're at home against Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Then you got the Dallas Cowboys, who, as we alluded to, next Sunday at home against the Baltimore Ravens. Week 4, Thursday Night Football game on the road playing those New York Football Giants. Week 5, they're on the road again. Sunday Night Football playing the Pittsburgh Steelers. And then week 6 at home against the Detroit Lions.
So a lot of work cut out for both teams, but Dallas, more importantly, has to really pull it together next week.
Then we got to talk one of my leaps, and this one didn't quite go the way I expected it to, and that was the Los Angeles Rams to defeat the Arizona Cardinals, because holy hell, Marvin Harrison Jr. decided to have a fucking game. Arizona beat the LA Rams by the final score of 41-10. Kyler Murray, 17-21, 266 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Matthew Stafford, 19-21, 216 yards passing, no touchdowns or interceptions. Blake Corum led the way for Los Angeles in rushing with 8 carries, 28 yards, no touchdowns. James Conner led the way for Arizona with 21 carries, 122 yards, 1 touchdown. And of course, as I alluded, Marvin Harrison Jr., 4 catches, 130 yards receiving, 2 touchdowns. By the way, that was all in the first half. I don't know what the hell happened in the second half, but he didn't catch another ball. And then on the other side for the Rams, it was Demarcus Robinson with 2 catches, 50 yards, and no touchdowns.
Their wide receiver core, though, is getting decimated.
Yeah, they are.
For the Rams. I believe Cooper Kupp's on IR right now.
Yep.
Or was going there with an ankle injury. So, obviously, losing him and Puka, that was going to be problems. That's going to be big problems.
Yeah.
So, this comes down to, we had an Arizona team that, honestly, as wild as it might sound, I think the Rams did the same thing the Cowboys did. I think they looked past them. I think that they were thinking this is a bad Arizona team, even though they gave the Bills all they could handle week 1.
Right.
And I think even with division rivals, and we've talked about this at length on past shows, you have to get up for those division games. And you see a lot of teams that might not be that good do this.
Looking at the Rams schedule, yeah, they were looking past.
Oh, completely.
100%. We'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah, because I think that they came in and much the same formula that Dallas did. They looked past. Arizona jumped out early, and say for Arizona fans, you have to be happy about Marvin Harrison Jr. showing up for this. But he was burning their defensive core.
Yeah.
And Murray was hitting him. And this is something that if you're a Cardinals fan, you've been waiting to see this Murray show up. And finally he has. Now the question mark is going to be, can they sustain this moving forward?
No.
Yeah, that's going to be the one that, I mean, I'm still on the fence about. I don't know if they can. But I think this at least gave some promise. But then again, we'll have to wait and see.
The tell will be after October 25th, and that's because we all know Kyler Murray's obsession.
Oh, Call of Duty?
The new Call of Duty comes out October 25th.
Yeah.
So after October 25th, see how he does. But no, you're right about the Rams. They're just decimated on the offensive side of the ball. Tyler Higbee is on the physically unable to perform list. He was there, put on there on August 27th, so he's out at least the first 4 games. So we're still another 2 weeks at the minimum if he's before he can come back. And then, as you alluded to, Puka Nacua is on injured reserve, and he could, according to Adam Schefter, he could miss between 5 and 7 weeks.
Yeah,
and that's just guessing on how quickly he'll recover from a PCL strain he has in his right knee, which that ain't nothing to mess with, especially when you're a wide receiver. And then, as is being reported today, this is according to Adam Schefter, Sean McVay said that he's expected to be out for, quote, an extended period of time. And he could land on injured reserve, which is code for, he's going to be there.
Yeah, so this is big problems for the Rams.
So it's a next man up, if anybody's left.
Well, they're going to need to pull something together because obviously they have a rough stretch coming up.
Yeah, they do.
And let's get into that.
Yeah, so the Rams, the next couple of games is at home against the San Francisco 49ers. Week 4 is on the road playing the Chicago Bears. Week 5 is at home against the Green Bay Packers. And Week 6, they are on a bye. Then for the Arizona Cardinals, next game is at home against the Detroit Lions. Week 4, at home against the Washington Commanders. Week 5 is on the road playing the San Francisco 49ers. And then Week 6 on the road playing Green Bay. That's not an easy stretch for Arizona, especially after Green Bay. Chargers, Dolphins. Ooh.
Well, you know what? They might sneak.
Although the Dolphins one might be easy these days. We'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah, they might sneak 1 or 2 out of there. Because if they play like this, I think they're going to catch some teams sleeping.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing that they can hope on.
Yep.
But then we have to get to a game I know we've been waiting for. I know Cowboys fans, I know you feel bad right now. I know our guy Dre. This will probably pick you up a little bit. We have to talk about probably the worst team in the NFL, and that is saying something because we're not talking the Carolina Panthers.
No, we're not.
We're talking the New York Football Giants.
There's one person I wish could be here to talk about this.
Your coach, my coach, the coach?
Coach Duffy.
Yes.
Yeah, just because I don't think he'd try and defend this, but just to try and hear his explanations of some of this shit. Because, boy, howdy. So you had the Washington Commanders take on the New York Football Giants this past Sunday in Washington. Maryland, Delaware, whatever the hell they actually play in. It's not actually Washington. But the Commanders won by the final score of 21-18, which, all right, division game, makes sense. But once you dig into this, you really start raising your eyebrow until they're into your hairline. Mm-hmm. So, Jaden Daniels, 23 of 29, 226 yards passing, no touchdowns or interceptions. Keep note of the touchdowns from the Washington side of things, folks. New York Giants, Daniel Jones, 16 of 28, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Devin Singletary led the way for the Giants in rushing with 16 carries, 95 yards, 1 touchdown. Brian Robinson Jr. led the way for Washington with 17 carries, 133 yards rushing, and no touchdowns. And then for the Washington receiving corps, it was Zach Ertz leading the way with 4 catches, 62 yards, and no touchdowns. Malik Neighbors led the way for the Giants, having actually a decent game. 10 catches, 127 yards, and 1 touchdown. So, if you were paying attention, you were listening and keeping track, you might be saying to yourself at this point, Pad, how the hell did the Washington Commanders put up 21 points if they had no passing touchdowns, no rushing touchdowns, or no receiving touchdowns? Was it possibly a pick six? No. Was it possibly a fumble return? No. Punt return? No. Shout out to their kicker, Austin Siebert. I got to check on social media because odds are this dude's getting a quote-unquote random drug test this week.
Yep.
He went 7 for 7 from field goal. So the Giants defense didn't give up a passing touchdown. Cool. Didn't give up a rushing touchdown. Even better. Didn't give up a pick six. Great. No fumbles. Awesome. You let a guy kick 7 field goals. What the shit?
This is the problem the Giants have right now. The Giants don't have an identity.
Nope.
And the problem that is going to keep growing is this defense played adequate. It was not great. You held a rookie quarterback to a substantial number of yards, no touchdowns. Listen, that is a win right there. However, though, you now put pressure on your offense. And your offense was rolling at one point, and Neighbors had a breakout game that the Giants fans have been waiting for.
Yeah.
Singletary had a decent game.
Oh, yeah.
With 95 and 1.
Yeah.
But when it comes down to those late quarters, this is where the Giants are now showing struggles. And why, oh why, did Brian Dabble go for it late in the final few minutes of the fourth quarter on a 4th and 4 when he could have kicked the field goal and gone ahead? He decides to go for it. And Neighbors drops the ball.
Yep.
So you give Washington, who is moving the chains, getting downfield, they're doing everything they can to get first downs and get into position to win. You give them the opportunity.
Yep.
And sure enough, they took full advantage of it.
Right.
This is all on Brian Dabble.
Uh-huh.
And I know that he's now getting rumored about being on the hot seat, and I think, quite frankly, he has to be.
It's a little late for that.
I think now, if this is the output that we're seeing from this team moving forward,
Right.
you're going to have to just literally do an implosion and build up again.
Well, yeah. Rip it down to the studs. Malik Neighbors, good building point, but yeah, there ain't nothing else here worth saving. And I realize, Giants fans are like, well, we were down Graham Gano. Yes, that is
stop.
true.
Yeah.
Graham Gano did have a hamstring injury. He's on injured reserve. He's done for the year. So they're out looking for new kickers if they don't have one already. And I was talking to someone yesterday that you and I both know that's a Giants fan, and I hadn't seen the highlights yet, and I went, how the hell did you lose to a kicker? Like, if it was the offense, okay, like Jaden Daniels won the Heisman, dual threat quarterback, can run and pass. Like I can stomach that, I can understand that, but you didn't. They didn't give up. I'm like, how the hell did you do it? Well, he's like, well, we couldn't stop him on offense and we kicker, and then then we didn't have a kicker. And I'm like, what do you mean you didn't have a kicker? And he told me Graham. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, his explanation, I'm like, oh, okay. And then you decided to not go with your backup, because I remember with the Patriots, I think it was against the Titans a couple years ago, when we lost Gostkowski. Mm-hmm. We had our punter, who I think at that point was Ryan Allen. He took over all the kicking duties. It wasn't pretty and it wasn't sexy by any means, but shit, he could do it. I'm looking at the stats now. That's not even the case, because I'm looking at New York kicking. No field goals and none attempted. You had one attempted extra point by Jamie Gillian. He missed that one. And then that's it.
Yeah.
So what the hell? He missed the one extra point, which, you know what? I can understand. If Jamie Gillian is primarily the punter, which I'm looking at the punt, he had 2 punts, 87 yards. He averaged 43.5 yards a punt. And one inside the 20. Okay, so clearly his primary job is punting. So he is not a place kicker by trade. He probably did it at one point, though.
Oh, I'm sure.
And it might have been, middle school, high school, hell, it might have even been not since Pee-wee days that he did it. So he'll be a little rusty. He might miss one, but you know what? Give him that other shot. What's the worst you got to lose? Shit, if you let him try another field goal, he might have drilled it and it would have put you tied going into the last quarter there.
It would put him up. No, I mean, that's the whole thing. It would have put him up.
The play calling, I just do not understand.
Well, that's the whole thing. And this is something as somebody that's watched Dabble coach, because he was the OC in Buffalo.
Yep.
He gets into these weird rhythms with his offense that make no sense when he switches. And this was prime example here. And I'm sorry. This is going to haunt the Giants moving forward because there is no signs of life on this team.
Because I'm looking at, I agree with you 100%. I'm looking at the rest of the stats and take Singletary and Neighbors out of this.
Yeah.
If they're gonna run the ball, stack it up against Devin Singletary and dare one of the other running backs to do it. Because once you take out the 16 carries from Singletary, Daniel Jones had 5, Tyrone Tracy Jr. had 1.
Yeah.
And then you take out Neighbors. Okay, well, if they're going to pass it, double up Neighbors and force Darius Slayton, Wan'Dale Robinson, or Devin Singletary to catch it. Between those three gentlemen, they had 6 catches for a total of, 33, 18, and none for Devin Singletary. Devin Singletary had 1 catch, but he didn't gain a yard. So you had probably about 40, high 40s, 50 yards for between Slayton and Wan'Dale Robinson. Their running game sucks. Their receiving core outside of Malik Neighbors, who's got some promise, but he's a rookie, so that's to be expected, sucks. This team's got nothing.
No, they have absolutely nothing, and this is atrocious. And I know we'll have a lot to say about Carolina when it comes up, but they literally gave them a run for the money. In fact, I'll even say this. I mean, Carolina is just a bad team, period.
Yeah.
But this one has promise and yet fails to deliver every time.
Yeah, I mean, I looked at the Patriots season as like, they're not going to contend. They're not going to make a playoffs. They're not even going to be in, contention at the end of the season with like, there's a half a dozen possibilities and scenarios where they can make the playoffs. Like, I never even entertained that fact. Mm-hmm. But I figured they'd be, top 5, hell, even possibly top 3 draft pick. We know who's getting the top 2 draft picks this year.
Yeah.
and Christ almighty, it's going to be ugly.
Fully agree.
So for the Washington Commanders, their next couple of games this upcoming Monday, they're on the road playing the Cincinnati Bengals. Then week 4, they're on the road playing the Arizona Cardinals. Week 5, at home against the Cleveland Browns. And then week 6, on the road playing the Baltimore Ravens. Christ, that's rough.
Yeah.
Then for the New York Football Giants, listen, Giants fans, I'm going to be honest with you. You are currently sitting at 0-2. I know I normally do the next 4. I'm going to give you the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games. You could possibly be 0-9 before you're looking at your first win. So, and Giants fans, I realize you know the schedule, but some of the other folks who listen to our show might not. So let's run through this. Next week, they're on the road playing the Cleveland Browns. Week 4, the Thursday night game, as I alluded earlier, they are at home against the Dallas Cowboys. Week 5, on the road playing the Seattle Seahawks. Note, that's in Seattle. That's not the West Coast team coming east, although for the Seahawks, that don't mean shit. I'll get to that in a minute. Week 6, at home against the Cincinnati Bengals. That's a Sunday night football game. Week 7, at home against the Philadelphia Eagles. Week 8, on the road playing the Pittsburgh Steelers on Monday Night Football. And then week 9, at home against the Washington Commanders.
And then week 10, they got Carolina.
And then week 10, they got Carolina.
Which will be the lowest rated football game of the year.
And God help them, it's in Germany. It's the game.
Oh.
It's the game over in Munich.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. I'm so sorry for the German fans going to that game.
Oh, my God.
But realistically, Cleveland, I think, has got a real good shot at beating Giants. If there's any team on this list that could shock the Giants and lose to them, I think Cleveland could be it. Dallas will beat the pants off of them. Seattle game.
Seattle at home, yeah.
Seattle at home. It'll be close, but Seattle will win it easily. Cincinnati, they'll beat the pants off of them. Philly, they'll beat the pants off of them. Pittsburgh, it'll be close, but I think Pittsburgh will pull it off. And then what the hell's going to be the difference from, with the Washington Commanders? You just lost to them. I don't see anything different from there. And then you got Carolina.
It's going to be a rough stretch.
Uh-huh.
And I just don't see any life in this team that's going to pull it together. I'm sorry.
No, I don't either.
I mean, I'm just saying, just call it the offseason already and get it done because I think if I'll say this, if Dabble is not, if they're still winless by the bye week, he's gone.
Oh, he has to be.
Yeah, he
has to be.
It'll be a wrap. And then we have to go to your team.
Yep.
Because, I mean, obviously you got to talk a little bit about those Patriots.
Yeah, I had a home game against the Seattle Seahawks, a little bit of a rematch from Super Bowl 49. A couple of folks who were a part of that team in attendance. It was a cool ceremony to see the highlights of because, unsurprisingly, it was not on in our local area. But the Seattle Seahawks won 23-20 in overtime. Geno Smith, 33 of 44, 327 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. Jacoby Brissett, 15 of 27, 149 yards passing, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. You had Antonio Gibson lead the way for New England in rushing with 11 carries, 96 yards, no touchdowns. Zach Charbonnet, I think is how you say it.
Yeah.
14 carries, 38 yards, 1 touchdown. DK Metcalf led the way for Seattle in receiving, 10 catches, 129 yards receiving, 1 touchdown. Also of note, Jackson Smith and Jigba, 12 catches, 117 yards. Good God. And for New England, it was Hunter Henry with 8 catches, 109 yards, and no touchdowns. I mean, listen, the fact that it was even this close, I give the Patriots credit. Seattle is a very dynamic offense. You didn't even have Kenneth Walker III. He didn't even play. So looking on paper, I'm like, all right, they got Kenneth Walker III, Metcalf, Jackson Smith, Tyler Lockett, Noah Fant even shows up every now and again as a decent player in the stat line. But I'm like, there's just no fucking shot. Like the fact that it A, went to overtime and B, was only a 3-point loss. Hey, I'm not one to regularly say it's a good loss, but it's a good loss.
I'll say this, and there's not going to be a lot for me to break down about this game. The Patriots scrapped.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that that's something that you have to applaud the head coach.
Uh-huh.
You have to really applaud the team that you have.
Yeah.
Because, let's face it, this is a rebuilding year. They played very, I'd say, decent.
They played above my expectations.
Right. But they're scrapping.
And
and that's the only thing I think as a fan you want when you know it's a rebuilding year.
Yes.
So there's like you said, this is a good loss because they're still fighting.
And this has got promise for me, and I like what I'm seeing with this because I think last year or even the last couple of years, this would have been a blowout. This would have been a one-sided blowout. Wouldn't have even been close. But the fact that they're scrappy, the fact that they're saying, hey, listen, we can go out there and we can win any given Sunday, and they're not rolling over and playing dead, is giving me a cause for concern.
No, I think
cause for optimism, I should say.
No, I think Jared Mayo's done a great job about what he's got here.
Yeah.
And for Seattle, I mean, they're almost in the same situation. I mean, Geno Smith, we thought would eventually come back to earth.
Yeah.
He hasn't. The running game for Seattle is not great, but they're getting the job done where they need to. Wide receiver core is looking good. And this is a solid win for them, especially traveling east.
Yeah.
So Seattle, we said, was going to contend. They're probably the most evenly balanced team in the league.
Yeah.
For what they have on both sides. So this is just a great game, and this was a fun one to watch unless you were on the losing side of the ball.
Only concern I have with the Patriots is it was reported yesterday as we recorded that one of their linebacks, Juwan Bentley, tore his pec. Expected to miss an extended period of time.
I'd say that's like at least 3 months.
If not the rest of the season. And he's a key part of that defense, especially in that linebacking core.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens.
Yep, indeed.
Then we got to get to the game I know everyone's anticipating us talking about. Oh, boy. This was the Thursday night game with the Buffalo Bills taking on the Miami Dolphins, and you had the Buffalo Bills emerge victorious 31-10. Josh Allen, 13 of 19, 139 yards passing, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Tua Tagovailoa, 17 of 25, 145 yards passing, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. Also, Skylar Thompson, 8 of 14, 80 yards, no touchdowns or interceptions. Devin Akane, 22 carries, 96 yards, and no touchdowns for the Dolphins. James Cook led the way for Buffalo with 11 carries, 78 yards, and 2 touchdowns. For the Buffalo Bills receiving core, it was Khalil Shakir, 5 catches, 54 yards, no touchdowns. And then for Miami, it was, surprise, surprise, Devin Akane, 7 catches, 69 yards receiving, and just 1 touchdown.
Well, let's get the serious matter out of the way first here.
Yep.
Unfortunately, Tua suffered a concussion. Mm-hmm. He ran headfirst into DeMar Hamlin.
Yep.
Late in the fourth quarter, I think it was.
Somewhere around there.
It was in the second half.
Yeah.
Very bad scene again.
Yep.
And now, as we're recording, we find out he's going to IR.
He's out at least the next 4.
At least the next 4. And there's been a lot of talk on social media, a lot of talk from every single news show you watch concerning football about his future. And I will say this, and I mean, obviously, if you're a long-time listener to the show, you know I'm not a fan of the Miami Dolphins. However, I do root for Tua.
Oh, yeah. Because
I think that, unfortunately, his career, he's been hit with a lot of concussions.
Uh-huh.
And it's really, as great as he's played at times, this is still something that he's had to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
And I think at this stage, he really should look at his future and look after the game.
Yes.
And I don't think that he should make any decisions, even at that 4-week mark. I think he should really take his time and really decide what he should do. Because if you're asking for my opinion about this, I think he should retire.
Agreed.
I don't think he should be playing. I think that in as much as we all are fans of the game and love the game, and if you're able to have the privilege of playing it on this kind of level, it's tough to walk away from.
Oh, yeah.
I get it.
Oh, yeah.
But at the same time, we're talking about head injuries.
Yes.
And this is not something you screw around with.
Mm-hmm.
And he's unfortunately had 1 in college, I believe. He's had 3 documented in the NFL.
That we know of, yeah.
That we know of. He's taken some awful shots.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And like I say, this is a situation that you have to really say, do I want to deal with this long term?
Yep.
And this is after your playing days are done.
Yeah.
And I think if I'm him, I really have to kind of sit back and go, is this worth it? For like legacy, forget about it.
Yeah. I mean, listen, you got the guaranteed money.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want a good temp in the room of like what people's opinion of it are, I know there's a lot of folks and a lot of pundits and a lot of commentators, hell, even ourselves, saying one thing. But if you want a good temp in the room of what people are saying, go look up the video from Sunday night or Sunday afternoon, whenever it took place on NFL on CBS. Nate Burleson was talking about it. And he reached out to Javid Best, who played in the NFL and had a similar set of instances where he had a ton of concussions and he ended up having to retire. Go watch that video. The other one is Manti Te'o. Name I didn't think I'd be speaking on the show ever again after he retired. But Manti Te'o was on whatever show he appears on NFL Network. He knows Tua. They both Hawaii. They both know each other. They're friends. And just watch the video of him talking about what he thinks Tua should do, and just the passion and the pain and just all of the emotions coming out of him discussing it. Because this isn't Manti just saying this for sound bites and clicks and, oh, if I do this, it'll get a bunch of articles, written about it, when everybody linking back to our videos, and it'll get us a lot of views and it'll be great for the network. No, this is just somebody speaking about somebody he knows and someone he considers a friend. I 100% agree that I think Tua needs to step away, that he needs to just work in the front office, work on the sidelines, be a quarterback coach, be it whatever he wants to do, just because, like you said, it's 3 that we know of. I know somebody in my family who has 3 that he knows of, and 3 that have been officially diagnosed as concussions. But from what he has seen and some of the symptoms and what he experienced, he thinks the actual number is about 6 or 7. Mm-hmm. And he said, and we were discussing this the other day, it absolutely affects his day-to-day life. It's not anything super major or debilitating or anything that causes him to not be able to live his life and do the things he wants to, but there are points where it gets difficult.
Yeah.
And that's just the thing. It's 3 that we know of in the NFL. There could have been ones they missed or ones that just, the symptoms weren't there strong enough, but it was still there. I think at the end of the day, when it comes to a concussion, it doesn't matter what level or percent of a concussion it is. It's still too high. Anything above 1% is too high. And you go back to college, the one that we know of or the one that's been reported, and that's that we know of. High school, we have no idea. Middle school, we have no idea. Going back to when he started, we just don't know. We could be talking double-digit numbers for concussions he may have had. And I'm not sitting here saying he did have this, but just logically, because only until the last, decade or so, have they really been putting a focus on diagnosing, treating, and taking care of these players who get concussions.
Yeah.
So you go back to when Tua was in Pee Wee or in middle school, might not have been the highest focus. It might not have been something they're looking for. And of course, anyone who's over a certain age, hell, I know I've heard it. I know you certainly heard it. It was rub some dirt on and get back in there.
Oh yeah, there's always the mentality, just tough it out.
It was the tough it out mentality. But you know what? That might have worked once upon a time. It doesn't work nowadays. So Tua, I really need to, I'm not saying make the decision now, because I think any decision made right now is in haste and might not be the best judgment. So in that instance, I do agree with what Mike McDaniel said the other day. Which, listen, don't make a decision now. It might be a little too rushed, but he's out at least the next 4.
Yeah.
Sit there, take time with your family, take time with your teammates, take time with your coaches. Hell, call up Saban. Mm-hmm. I know Nick Saban. Nick Saban's retired. All he's doing these days is weekly appearances on the Pat McAfee show and doing College Game Day. But and I know, Saban sees that number pop up on his cell phone or on his caller ID.
Oh, he's picking up.
He's picking up no matter what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
Reach out to Saban, just consult and really take the time to figure this out. I don't think you should go forward just because you got a lot more life ahead of you after football than you do playing football.
Absolutely. No, absolutely.
And when you're talking percentages, I want to focus on and make sure the percent I got I got a lot more to focus on is all well and good.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's the whole thing. It comes down to bottom line is state of living.
Yeah.
And what happens after the games are done.
Yeah.
And I understand it's pride. I understand he's passionate to play the game. But at a point, you have to look past the game.
Yeah.
And it's tough to do, especially when you're an elite athlete on that level.
Yeah.
But this is something I really think, and I hope that he has the right people around him, talking to him.
Agreed.
Really looking at all options. And I hope he makes the right decision for him and his family, because that's what really matters at the end of the day. It's not the 2 guys here behind the microphone.
Yeah.
But if I'm put in that perspective, I'm done. I'm like, you know what? Listen.
Would I like to see him play again? Absolutely.
Oh yeah, sure.
As much as you and I don't like the Dolphins because they're in the same division and they caused us headaches enough over the years. Hello, the lateral miracle against the Patriots a couple of years ago. Mm-hmm. I still like to see the kid play. I think he's dynamic. I think he's talented, and I think he's one hell of a player. But do I want to see him continue playing at the expense and risk of his own health? No, I don't. I'm sorry. I just don't want to see a scenario where he kept playing and then find out he's one of these statistics, down the road where he died in a nursing home because his brain was mush.
Yeah. No, that's something, like I say, we definitely want to address that, and obviously sending positive thoughts and
Absolutely.
and energy
Absolutely
to him about that.
Good grief. So looking at the schedules for the next couple of games.
Oh, no. Well, we got to break down the game, though.
Oh, yeah, we do. Okay.
Yeah, no. We're not skipping past this because everybody said the Bills were dead. Everybody said, week one, what is this team? What is this?
Who the hell was saying that? Jesus Christ.
I had to hear us, obviously I'm a very public Bills fan, so a lot of people were messaging me about this, and I'm just responding out loud here. I would just say the Bills defense, which was written off for dead, showed up.
Oh, yeah.
And they slowed down the valued Miami running game.
Oh, yeah.
They did not really let them.
For everyone outside of Kane.
Yeah. They did a great job about shutting them down, but especially in the passing attack.
Oh, yeah.
And they really put a statement win on this. James Cook looked amazing running and catching. Like I say, even though they had the one for 17 yards, though, but led to a touchdown. And I thought Josh Allen played very smart. He didn't do anything too risky, which is, in his case, a miracle. And I would just like to say for Jalen Ramsey, since your comments, you guys are 0-6 now, I believe.
Yep.
So
0-5, 0-6, something like that, yeah.
Yeah, you might want to rethink that statement and quit doubling down on it, in my opinion.
I mean, listen, I was never concerned about the Buffalo Bills after the week one. I mean, my own New England Patriots, who were like 6.5, 7-point underdogs against the Cincinnati Bengals, went into Cincinnati and upset the Cincinnati Bengals, who a lot of folks, myself included, I think, picked to go to the Super Bowl. So I never put anything by the Buffalo Bills, week one struggles, I guess you could say, just because it's week one. You see this in baseball, you see this in NBA, hockey, any sport, that the first couple of weeks of the season, there's always those games where it's like, well, how the hell did this happen? And you know what? It's just people getting in a rhythm, people getting in a groove and figuring out what they got, what works, what doesn't work. And you will have those games where people shock one another. I mean, the soccer to football, but you had the English Premier League start just a couple weeks ago. Liverpool lost at home to a team for the first time since 1969.
Yeah.
Like, this shit happens. It's part of the game.
It is. So for the Bills, though, like I said, solid win,
Yeah,
and especially I said with unfortunately Tua leaving in the third quarter.
Yep.
The game was already locked up by then.
Yeah.
And for the Bills defense, which I say Jamarcus Ingram looked great, Christian Bedford, same thing. And the fact that they held Tyreek Hill to how many yards, Pad? 24?
Yeah, not a lot.
I mean, this is the quote-unquote MVP, the best receiver in the league. The fact they held him to only 24 yards.
Let's see. 3 catches, 24 yards on 6 targets.
Mm-hmm.
His longest was 10 yards.
Is a big win all around.
Yeah.
So I am taking this, my victory lap on this because the Bills kept up with the Miami offense and shut them down.
Yeah.
That's the big takeaway because, like I say, when it's 24-10 at halftime, the Bills were on cruise control. They need to keep this pressure up, though, because I think that for teams that are up there in the Kansas City talk, the San Francisco talk, the Bills need to be up there because for all their question marks they had this season, with Stephon Diggs leaving, the defense is old. They really showed up and made a statement win.
Right.
Had to get that off my chest before we switched.
So for the Buffalo Bills the next couple of weeks, the next week they're on Monday Night Football at home against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Week 4, they're on the road, Sunday Night Football playing the Baltimore Ravens. Week 5, they're on the road playing the Houston Texans. And week 6, they're on the road, Monday Night Football playing the New York Jets. There'll be a few people watching that game. And then for the Miami Dolphins, next couple of weeks, they are on the road playing the Seattle Seahawks. Week 4, they're at home against the Tennessee Titans. That'll be on Monday Night Football. Week 5, they're on the road playing the New England Patriots, and then they got a bye week in week 6. Now, in case you're curious, they did sign another quarterback to their roster because Tua's going to be out next couple of weeks. They signed Tyler Huntley.
Oh, from Baltimore.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he's a solid backup.
Currently on ESPN.com, Skylar Thompson is listed as the number 1 quarterback, but we'll see what happens come game time on Sunday.
Yeah.
Then we're going to run around the rest of the league here and some of the other games that stood out to us. You had the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defeat the Detroit Lions 20-16.
Shocked at this one, but Baker and the boys might be the real deal.
Baker's balling, baby.
Yeah.
You have the Green Bay Packers defeat the Indianapolis Colts 16-10. Jordan, who?
Yeah, very ugly game, but the Packers pulled it off. I did catch this, and yeah, it was not pretty.
The one stat, I'm looking it up here, we do got a shout out, though, because good God almighty, this man was balling out of his mind. Where the hell is it? I know he had it. It was Aiden Hutchinson did something insane with this game. I can't find. He had like 5 sacks or 5 hits or something bonkers like that. Shout out Aiden Hutchinson.
Oh, yeah.
You had the New York Football Jets defeat the Tennessee Titans 24-17.
Ugly win, but hey, the Jets got one, so congratulations.
And hey, Aaron Rodgers probably finished a game for the first time since 2022.
A very long time.
Yeah, he did finish a game. Nobody else came in. You had the Minnesota Vikings defeat the San Francisco 49ers 23-17.
Sam Darnold is now in the MVP talk.
Yeah.
Just put that out there right now. I know it's too early to crown, but he's actually keeping this team afloat.
Also, did not realize this was a stat until the other day. The San Francisco 49ers have not beat the Minnesota Vikings in Minnesota since 1982.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Wish I'd have known that stat before I picked the 49ers as a lock.
Yeah.
You had the LA Chargers defeat the Carolina Panthers 26-3.
Carolina is very, very bad.
Yeah, they are.
I mean, the thing about, I say their second worst team in the NFL, the Giants actually have talent. This team has no talent.
They got nothing. They're benching Bryce Young for Andy Dalton.
What a disservice to him.
Yeah.
I know there's talk about busts in the NFL. I think, unfortunately, Young is there. I think he just needs to hold the clipboard behind somebody that's not going to be going anywhere anytime soon, and he might be able to bounce back. But
I don't know.
I think just as a solid backup. That's all he can do.
I mean, I've been having conversations with some friends, and Jamarcus Russell has been getting mentioned in the same sentence as Bryce Young.
That's tough.
I listen, Bryce Young had a great college career, but unfortunately, I don't think there's anything for him to salvage. I think if anything, he might write out this contract. They're sure as shit at this point not going to renew it.
They shouldn't.
I don't think there's anyone in the NFL of the other 30 whatever teams that are going to pick him up. So I think in all likelihood he might go north and play in the Canadian Football League. But it's not like a Mac Jones situation where there were some glimpses there and there were some flashes of, hey, he's a good quarterback. He just might need the right system and the right framework and the right this and right that. There's fucking nothing here. Bryce Young in his career is 2-17. And I realize part of that's he doesn't really have anything to go to.
He's got nothing.
I mean, he's got Chuba Hubbard, Miles Sanders. Okay, that's not bad, but Adam Thielen, Deontay Johnson, Jonathan Mingo, Tommy Tremble. Sorry, who? Outside of Thielen, I've heard of you, but yay.
He doesn't have anything, and that's the thing. I think he can go be a serviceable backup somewhere if he can sit and hold the clipboard for a good 4 years.
Right.
Because he's going to need to. Chargers traveling out east. I was actually shocked they did well, but hey, Harbaugh's doing Harbaugh things.
Harbaugh years. You had the Cleveland Browns defeat the Jacksonville Jaguars 18-13.
Ugly game. Good for Cleveland.
Also, what does it say that they're doing wrestling matches before the football games?
There's a lot of different ways we can go about this because I have nothing. Just the only thing I ever have to say about the Jacksonville Jaguars, Christian Kirk, 1 catch, -1 yard.
Hey, shout out to Christian Kirk.
Yes.
Then you had the Las Vegas Raiders beat the Baltimore Ravens 26-23.
Surprising win, but good win for the Raiders. They have held on. The Ravens, I don't know what's going on there, but they're playing very tough. They're just not being able to close, which is wild to see.
Well, and Tucker's not as accurate from 50+ as he used to be.
Well, Father Time catches up with everybody, even the great kickers of the league. So in this situation, I think Baltimore will bounce back this week, though.
Probably. You had the Pittsburgh Steelers defeat the Denver Broncos 13-6.
Denver is bad.
Yeah,
Denver's real bad.
Yes, they are. Then you had the Kansas City Chiefs beat the Cincinnati Bengals 26-25.
Oh boy, what can I say that I won't get myself in too much trouble for? Kansas City, in my opinion, got robbed.
Or you mean Cincinnati?
I'm sorry. Cincinnati. Kansas City at home, There is something that happens there.
Especially when a certain singer's in attendance.
You know,
I'm not saying anything, but
we just define it as what here on the show pad?
Reasons.
And there is a lot of reasons that certain calls just happen to fall Kansas City's way, and I still cannot figure out how this all goes down. And I will argue about the pass interference play on 4th down in the 4th quarter.
Sure.
I don't really say that is a pass interference. They both went up for the ball.
Yep.
They did collide in midair.
Yep.
So it's not like he got distracted from the route.
It's not like he impeded him. Hell, I dare you to go jump in the air and see if you can control yourself midair. This ain't a video game.
Exactly. So in this situation, I think that this was a late call to flip.
Uh-huh.
I don't really see how you could do that, especially when you're in the air fighting. It's not like he was on the ground and got held down.
It's not like he German suplexed him on the ground.
No. So the fact that he got away with this is insane to me.
Yeah.
But yet again, it just happens, it's odd things happen in Cincinnati or in Cleveland or everywhere, honestly. See, I'm trying to really hold myself back from going off and just and outright saying something. But I'm just saying, for perception is reality. Kansas City at home, it's a weird thing that happens there.
Yeah.
They got the win.
I mean, I'm concerned about the Kansas City's receiving core. Because listen, you're down Hollywood Brown, done for the year, which, boy, talk about a paycheck that guy got.
Yeah.
Got paid, a lot of guaranteed money, 2 weeks of work, and then he's done for the year. But yeah, I mean, you got Rashee Rice, 5 for 75 and 1 touchdown. And Pacheco, 5 for 21, no touchdowns. Worthy, 2 for 17, no touchdowns. The concerning one for me, though, Travis Kelce. And I'm not putting any allegedlys or saying this because of any reason. I'm not saying. I'm just looking at the stats, purely stats, and going, yeah, this ain't good. 1 catch, 5 yards, no touchdowns, on 3 targets for the season. Now, granted, 2 games, but still, it's a trend. 4 catches, 39 yards, no touchdowns. He's averaging 9.8 yards a catch. The catches, he's tied for 111th in the NFL. The yards, he's tied for 112th. The no touchdowns, he's tied for 59th. And the average, he's 121st.
We have to remember one thing, though, with him.
He's currently 34, about to be 35 in another 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm. But teams are on to the one thing that they should have been on years ago. If you take him out of the equation, Patrick Mahomes magically comes back to earth.
Yep.
And if you scheme to shut him down, you're asking Rashee Rice, Pacheco, when he's healthy, Worthy to beat you.
Uh-huh.
You're asking those guys to beat you. And obviously you can tell that an elite team, and granted the record doesn't reflect it, but Cincinnati is there on talent purposes, should have won this game outright. And they took Kelce out of the equation. And where his future goes from here, I'm already going to go out on a limb. I think he's done after this season.
Mm-hmm.
No question about it. I think he's done.
I think so.
He's going Hollywood. I know he's got the show on FX coming out.
Oh, yeah.
And obviously, if he's still in that high-profile relationship, I think he's going to take full advantage of retiring at a good age and enjoying the next phase of his career.
Yeah.
So that being said, Kansas City is looking very beatable, but they're just getting very lucky in certain aspects. I mean, you take a look, Patrick Mahomes had 2 interceptions this game.
Yep.
Had, I believe, his career lowest in yards with 151.
Probably.
Or since his rookie year. Either way, the Chiefs looked very beatable here, and unfortunately they didn't because things didn't happen to fall the way of the Bengals. So can they keep this up moving forward? I don't know. I mean, you know me and theories. I think that just somehow, some way, they're going to get into those playoffs. But if you can get them away from Arrowhead and get them on the road, fully on the road, I think you got a good chance. I know last year it didn't happen that way, but I just think teams got it into their head too much.
Currently, as we record, the Kansas City Chiefs are in second place in the AFC West. Chargers are ahead of them 2-0. How that figures out, I don't fucking know, but reasons. For Kansas City, next couple games, they've got the Atlanta Falcons on Sunday Night Football because, boy, NBC hasn't been promoting that game at all.
Yeah.
He says jokingly. Then week 4, they're on the road playing the LA Chargers. Week 5 is against the Saints, and then their week 6, they're on a bye. I'm also going to say this because I've thought this for a while. I just don't think I've ever said it publicly on this show. Rob Gronkowski, better than Travis Kelce. Listen, Travis Kelce is a talent. Travis Kelce is a great, great tight end. One of the best to ever do it. Gronkowski was better, though. Just because when Travis Kelce, whatever the defense comes up with, gets shut down.
Mm-hmm.
can't do anything about it, doesn't want to do anything about it, whatever the case is. He's a non-factor. Gronkowski did not give a you-know-what and would figure out how to do it and would figure out how to barrel through them. Case in point, go look at the dude he barreled over in Indianapolis.
Mm-hmm. It's a great argument, and I have to kind of lean with you because I think if you take prime Kelsey versus prime Gronkowski on their respective teams, you take them out of the equation, who struggles more?
Kelsey.
Kelsey struggles. And then so does Mahomes. Even though Mahomes has got a better arm than Tom Brady, Brady could find a way to win with anybody.
Yep.
Mahomes, I don't think, does that well in comparison.
Just ask Sergio Brown about Rob Gronkowski.
Yeah.
Enough said.
Enough said there.
If you don't know what I'm talking about, YouTube search Rob Gronkowski, Sergio Brown.
Yep. That's all you need to know there. Back to the recap, though, Pad.
Yeah, the only other game, well, a couple more games we got to mention. You had the Sunday night game where the Houston Texans beat the Chicago Bears 19-13.
Well, the Bears are still in rebuild mode.
Much to the dismay of one Seth freaking Rollins.
Mm-hmm. Stephon Diggs, though, not really lighting the world on fire in Houston.
Four catches, 37 yards, no touchdowns. I know he had a good game first week, though. For the season, he's got 10 catches, 70 yards, and 2 touchdowns. The first game he had, there it is, 6 catches, 33 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
So not bad.
Not bad, but I think for all the drama that left Buffalo, I don't think it's transcending into higher stats in Houston. Just putting it out there.
Caleb Williams, not bad. 23, 37, 174, no interceptions, or excuse me, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions. That's not bad. He's a rookie.
Not bad, but like I said, still learning curve.
Yeah. Then the one last game we got to mention is the Monday night game where the Atlanta Falcons beat the Philadelphia Eagles 22-21.
A shocking win here for who is Atlanta?
What is Atlanta?
Atlanta stole a dub.
Yeah.
Literally.
Listen, you can take Saquon Barkley out of New York, but clearly you can't take the New York out of Saquon Barkley.
No, he unfortunately came up very bad at the worst possible time.
Yep.
And Kirk Cousins took advantage of it. The fact he led a 70-yard drive down the field and capped it off with Drake London catching a touchdown. Insane to see because Philly outplayed them the entire game. And this was a team that really scrapped for a win. So it is a great win for Atlanta. I will give them their due for this. I mean, being 1-1, didn't expect. Well, I mean, I thought they were going to pull off the South because somebody has to.
Yeah.
But they actually looked like they belonged in that talk for a possible Super Bowl playoff team. I'll just put. I'm not crowning them by any means, but at least they backed up their talk and their hype.
Yeah.
So Kirk Cousins definitely was a step in the right direction. Philly's got to take a look at that and go, what happened, and especially with Saquon, because, I mean, coming up that bad late, not what you need to do, especially when you want to have a closer.
Kirk Cousins for his career, 7-5 against the Eagles.
No.
That's not bad. And then in those 12 games against the Eagles, he has a passer rating of 102.3.
Yeah.
3,582 yards, 28 touchdowns, and 9 interceptions.
Hey,
just saying.
it is. What a wild week of football, though, Pat.
Crazy.
Crazy week, but that's why we're here to talk about it on the show, and that's why we want to talk to you, ODPH Society, after the show. So definitely hit us up on that hashtag ODPHpod. What is your takeaways from week 2? How is your team doing? Let's discuss, shall we? But first, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
The content you are listening to is part of the Nerd Initiative Podcast Network. For more info about the home of pop culture positivity, check out nerdinitiative.com.
Do you like comic books?
What about movies and TV shows?
Well, we may be the show for you.
We're Hops Geek News, a weekly podcast that discusses comics, movies, and TV shows while featuring a beer of the week.
Every week we chat about what we messed up on the week before, and then we dive into what we're reading and watching, as well as some news.
We then wrap it up with a geek-themed topic of the week.
You can find us anywhere you listen to podcasts by searching Hops Geek News.
Cheers.
Coming back for another segment on this edition of the ODPH podcast, and we have to recap a wild night of fights in the UFC Noche from the Sphere in Las Vegas, Pat.
This shit was wild.
This was insane.
Lived up to expectations.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, high gate. I can't remember the exact number. It did, but it was one that Dana White has been very public about. Like, they're already planning on booking back again.
The gate, according to the Wikipedia page, was $21,829,245.
That's insane.
Reportedly, the budget for the production of the event exceeded $20 million compared to the $2 million it's used that is used at a regular pay-per-view.
That's just,
money well spent, I would say.
oh, completely well spent. Like, I think it's just crazy to think how it all went down.
Yeah.
But great night of fights, though, top to bottom. And like I said, they were solid, but the main events, not exactly living up to the hype. But I think the undercard did some great things, though.
Yeah. So where do you want to start?
Well, why don't we go through the main card and
Sure.
we'll just kind of call it from there.
Sure. So the first fight on the main card was in the flyweight division, where you had Ronaldo Rodriguez defeat Ode Osborne via unanimous decision. One judge scoring the contest 29-28. The other two judges scoring the contest 29-27.
Very solid fight.
Yeah.
I mean, this was one I thought was a little better than expected. But
Good coming out party, I would say.
yeah, but Rodriguez, he looked great. I mean, just stayed in the pocket, was very, very, hungry to win,
Yeah.
and really just stayed in there and didn't get flustered too much, because I thought Osborne did get him a couple times,
Yep.
but he really stayed focused on what he needed to do. So I like seeing that.
Next up was in the lightweight division, where you had Esteban Rabovich, I think that's how you say it, defeated Daniel Zellhuber via split decision. One judge scored the contest 29-28. The next judge scored it 28-29. And the third judge scored the contest 29-28.
This fight was nuts. If I am not mistaken, this did get the performance bonus of the night.
It got fight of the night, yes.
Yes, and rightfully so. This was back and forth, like absolute insanity.
Flip a coin to pick who wins.
Yeah, this was one that I want to see this ran back.
Absolutely.
I have no shame of saying this. I really want to see this ran back.
Fight forever.
Yeah, the striking in this was just absolutely crazy. So, you know what?
Yeah.
But this is what you want to do. They want to put on a show, and they wanted to deliver, because that crowd, when you go to a fight, you want to see a fight.
Yeah.
They delivered on that.
Next up was in the featherweight division, where you had Diego Lopez defeat Brian Ortega via unanimous decision. Two judges scoring the contest 30-27. Third judge scoring the contest 30-26.
Well, this is a tough one, because I think for Brian Ortega, where do you go from here?
Hey, boy, I don't know.
And that's the big question mark I think a lot of people have right now.
Currently 33 years old. He turns 34 in February, and only on a one-fight losing streak. This is his last fight was a win against Yair Rodriguez.
Right, but he's in this place, though. He's had title shots at the featherweight position. You almost have to think he's got to move a weight class.
Currently ranked number 5 in that division. Dropped 2 spaces.
Yeah, so I don't necessarily know.
Diego Lopez, though, jumped 10. Holy shit.
Oh, yeah,
holy shit.
He's on a hell of a win streak right now. So I got to say, it would not surprise me if he gets the winner of the next title bout.
Could be.
Between Holloway and Dupree.
Oh, yeah.
I could see him.
Which is coming up soon.
Yeah, that's coming up real soon. I could see him getting that, and rightfully so. Like, he's looked really, really good. And the fact that he imposed his will, as he did, on a contender, I mean, let's face it, Brian Ortega is no slouch. Even though he's been in, like, some battles, like, he has always been right there till the end, until the ref stops it.
Yeah.
But this was one that Lopez came in and wanted to be put on notice and had no qualms about doing it. So This is one, honestly, I would say he's earned the title shot against Dupree and Holloway's winner.
Well, that fight taking place over in Abu Dhabi. That is at UFC 308, which is taking place October 26th.
Yeah. Like I say, I would definitely say he'd be in that conversation. If he doesn't get the shot, he should be number 1 contender.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Next up on the card was the co-main event of the evening, and this is for the UFC Women's Flyweight Championship, where you had Valentina Shevchenko defeat Alexa Grasso via unanimous decision. All 3 judges scoring the contest 50-45 to crown Valentina your new Women's Flyweight Champion.
Well, this one, I think maybe the Grasso hype train is over. And I don't like saying that, because I do think Grasso's a great fighter. But Shevchenko, listen, you have to bring your A game every time you fight her. She is in that Amanda Nunes talk.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for Nunes, she probably would be a co-champion in the women's divisions. But Shevchenko is just flawless when she's taken, she's really in tune with what she needs to do.
Yeah.
And in this situation, I think she just really showed that championship prowess.
We might get a fourth fight of this. I'm just saying, because I'm looking at the record of Alexa Grasso against Valentina Shevchenko. 1-1-1.
Yeah.
She beat Valentina at UFC 285 back in March of last year, face crank submission. Then ran it back in September of that same year at a fight night where it was a split decision draw. And then you had the fight this past Saturday where Grasso lost to Valentina via unanimous decision. So we might very well, if Dana decides to do it, which I don't think you will.
I don't think you will.
I don't think he would, but you could theoretically, because, hey, every fight series needs a definitive winner, and right now it's 1-1-1.
I think the only way you get this to get ran back, because I think this was a real letdown for what you had built up on the card.
Right.
You would need Grasso to go on like a heck of a win streak and Shevchenko to remain champion.
For what it's worth, Grasso is currently the number 1 ranked fighter in the flyweight division.
Yeah.
For what it's worth.
For what it's worth, yeah, absolutely. And like I say, I think to get back to do this fight again, she's going to need a couple fights in a row. She's going to need something to get there, because I think just I don't want to say this was a bad fight, but
right.
But really,
I mean, listen, you look at strictly the score. 50-45 all the way across. You know what that says? This was an ass whooping.
Yeah, I mean, but this is Shevchenko. Shevchenko's always just been on a different level.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the one thing. She's always been on a different level.
Yeah.
And the fact Grasso beat her the first time was kind of a shock.
Yeah.
And then, obviously, the return match, they're a little controversial, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So, it is what it is. But then we got one more fight to talk about.
do.
But before we get into it, speaking of the fights on the card, Irene Adania.
Oh, my God.
And one of the nastiest cuts in the fight against Norman Dumont.
Have you seen the updated look? Where she posted a video on social media what it looks like. It looked like the day or two after. Oh, my God.
That was just insane. So I just want to point that fight out.
Yeah.
But like I say, that one just, I mean, kudos to Irene, because that was, like I say, speedy and healthy recovery wishes. That was just a nasty, nasty cut.
That was insane. Then you get to the main event, which was for the UFC Bantamweight Championship, where you had Merab Dvalishvili defeat Sean O'Malley via unanimous decision. 2 judges scoring the contest 48-47. The third judge scoring the contest 49-46. So that means Merab is your new Bantamweight champion.
I think we called this pretty much how it went down.
I think we did too, yeah.
This was Dvalishvili just coming in there and imposing his will, and and O'Malley is a character.
Yeah, that's for sure.
You can cut a promo. He has great power in that division. Ground game and grappling, not so much.
Uh-huh.
And this is something Merab just really, like I'm going to say it's going to be like a repeat on record here, imposes will.
Yeah.
Like there was nothing O'Malley could really do to throw him off.
Right.
And this has been a fight that, I mean, seeing Merab wait his turn, and the whole story about him and Aljamain Sterling, and he wouldn't fight him no matter what, and then until one of them left the weight class. This is one that I'm happy to see him win, because he is just such a solid fighter. And to really kind of shake up that division, I think is great. And for O'Malley, who we hear is now going to be out quite some time.
Yep. Reportedly, according to one Sean O'Malley himself, 6 months to a year. He said, quote, "I have surgery on October 3rd. I tore my left labrum in my hip. That's the only reason I'm going to be out for so long. This surgery should only take 2 months to come back from, then a couple of months recovery. A year is a long time. Could be 6 to 8 months. You never know." Close quote.
Yeah, so I think obviously positive thoughts and energy to him as well to get speedy, healthy recovery. But and that's being the said case, like he's going to have to really come back and really learn some stuff on his off time. Like I think him having extended time off can only help.
Watch a lot of footage.
Yeah, because he is going to need to do this and really learn a ground game, because I think now his career kind of reminds me a little bit of Cody Garbrandt's.
Oh, good comparison.
Like they're great strikers, don't get me wrong, but you don't really see that other skill set to them.
Currently 21 professional matches, 18 wins, 12 by knockout, 5 by decision, 1 by submission.
Yeah, so like I say, I think in the fight game, and especially in this, you need to step up. You need to have a lot more tools to go with, and I think Dvalishvili just showed like he is very well rounded, but he knew exactly how to take him out. So like I say, it was kind of a letdown for what we were expecting here.
That one submission win Sean O'Malley has, his third professional fight in his career against a gentleman by the name of Omar Avelar, which was a rear naked choke submission on August 21st of 2015 at an Intense Championship Fighting 20.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's something to work on.
Yeah, so like I say, we'll have to see what he works on, but we're in the Marab era now.
Yeah.
And anything can happen from here. But,
Yep.
I mean, what else can you really say about the UFC this weekend? I mean, we did get a fight announcement we've all been waiting for.
Yeah, if it actually happens, which I was talking to Common Man Vince Iatoli about this yesterday, and I asked him, do you think this fight's actually going to happen? And he said, honestly, until they're standing in the octagon together and they're asking, are you ready? Are you ready? I'm not going to believe it. And you know what? I agree with him. And that it was announced taking place this November 16th at Madison Square Garden in New York City, New York, in the main event for the UFC Heavyweight Championship. You have challenger Stipe Miocic taking on champion John Jones.
That actually was not the fight I was thinking of.
Oh.
But we can talk about that because I was planning on doing it anyway. Listen, I'm right there with you until I see John and Stipe in the cage.
Yeah.
Sure, but
something's going to happen. Listen, we've seen this show before. It's announced this far out. Something's going to happen. John's going to back out, going to get pulled out. Something's going to happen to Stipe. Something's going to happen. I'm not saying it's Habib, Tony Ferguson levels of cursed, but something's going to happen.
Well, I mean, I think at this stage, Stipe is past prime. I mean, he's just...
I'll say this. The photo they used of Stipe when they posted, they're like, oh, here's the two fighters thing. The photo of Stipe is so old, he's still wearing Reebok shorts.
Yeah, like...
It's been that long.
He's very far removed from the game. And I think in his case, like, he's doing other things. Like, he's a firefighter in Cleveland.
42 years old.
Yeah. Like, there's no shame in saying that. Father Time caught up, and he did not look great his last fight he was in.
Against Francis Ngannou, he lost. That was in March of 2021.
Yeah, so he's now going to be on a 3-year gap between fights.
Uh-huh.
And you're going to be fighting
three and a half years.
Yeah, so you're going to be fighting John Jones, who has his last fight was against, Cyril Gane?
I think so.
Which was all, 30 seconds?
Yeah, it was against Cyril Gane. It was a guillotine choke submission win, 2 minutes and 4 seconds of the first.
Yeah, so...
Which was back in March of last year.
Yeah, so he hasn't fought in a year or two. He's going to retire after this because there's nobody else because he's not going to fight Aspinall.
No. He's dodging him like it's his job.
Well, he understands. I mean, Aspinall could have that knockout power, but at the same time, like, what does John have to do? John wants big money fights.
Oh, yeah.
The only fight that would have interested him to stay around would be Ngannou.
Right, but Ngannou's doing other things.
He's in PFL. He's in boxing. He's not going to fight John. So John is going to do this, solidify his legacy, and then bow out.
Probably.
Like, that's all he's going to do.
Probably.
But it was also announced for that same card.
Oh, yeah.
Michael Chandler is going to be fighting.
Uh-huh.
But it's not Conor McGregor.
It's one Charles Oliveira.
Yes, which I am all in about. So obviously the Conor McGregor drama is...
It deepens.
It deepens, but I'm just glad they're giving Chandler another fight if he wants. Because then if he wants to go for Islam Makhachev again and go for the belt, like, I think that could be an option as well.
Yeah.
Because if he can beat Oliveira, I think he gets that. But as for Conor... He's another one too. Like, who cares at the stage?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think
the luster is gone.
Yeah, the whole mystique that he had is light years away.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody cares. I think if he goes in there with Chandler's going to knock him out. And then, like, where does Conor go from here? I think Conor is smart just to not fight. And then if he wants to do, like, some marquee matchup, I guess, like, with him and Masvidal, I know they've talked about doing that in years past.
Uh-huh.
That could be one. If he wants to go fight Nate Diaz in a boxing match, that could be another thing too. Mm-hmm. Like, he can do stuff away, but I think if for an actual, like, run for the belt,
yeah,
it's past time.
I mean, listen, if Conor's good at anything, it's keeping himself relevant, because he did tweet out the other day. Quote, Chandler saw that takedown getting stuffed and mauled and officially dipped. This is referring to training footage he had posted on September 12th. Little fat bleep got tested earlier today by DFSI. Give me my effing date, close quote. So Chandler replied to Conor McGregor and said, quote, I'm not even going to respond to Conor's stupid little tweet. Acting like I dipped, the simple fact of the matter is you are the most unreliable human being that has ever graced mixed martial arts, close quote. He did get back to Conor, basically after outlining his title aspirations. Quote, if Conor can finally get his house in order, if he can finally string together a couple of sober days, and he can finally make good on his promise of the greatest comeback in combat sports history, then I will fight Conor after I dispatch of Charles Oliveira. Close quote.
Well, there he goes. I mean, I think obviously he just needs to get focused on Oliveira, and I think just waiting around for Conor is the same thing. You get the same nonsense every time. So,
yep.
You know what? Might as well make the fight, and that's going to be a hell of a card for MSG in November.
Absolutely.
So that being said, Pat, any final thoughts on UFC Noche?
Shout out to the production team.
Yes.
For like the videos they were showing on the Sphere. That was insane. And I mean that in the best way possible. Everyone in the production team, top to bottom, deserves a well-deserved round of applause for the show they put on for the Sphere, because Dana promised it's going to be like a once-in-a-lifetime experience, and it sure seemed like it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I can't wait to see them do another card there, because I'm going to put out a limb. I wouldn't doubt they do Super Bowl.
I could see it.
I think that'd be a smart move to do. Either way, though, UFC 306 is in the books. Hit us up on the hashtag ODPH pod. What is your thoughts about the fight card? Where do you think everybody's going from here? And then what about the two announcements for MSG? Thoughts on John Jones returning, and then Chandler's pivoting away from Conor McGregor. How you feeling about that, ODPH Society? Hit us up. Let us know. We're going to be right back.
This is Tom from Tom Joe Lou,
This is Matt from Sideroom Sounds.
and you're listening to ODPH Podcast.
Wanna go where no one knows my name, to the desert, the oceans, or the plains. 'Cause I wanna...
Coming back for the final segment on this edition of the ODPH podcast. Pad, what you got?
Got a couple things to talk about, first of which being the local minute. And the minor league baseball season for the Binghamton Rumble Ponies is over. Looking at these final standings for the regular season in the Eastern League Northeast Division, that is, of course, the division where the Rumble Ponies play. You had the Portland Sea Dogs, who are the Boston Red Sox affiliate, finish in first place with a record of 78-60. And then the Hartford Yard Goats, who are the Colorado Rockies affiliate, finished in second place with a 76-60 record. One game back, the Somerset Patriots finished in third behind with a record of 75-62. 2.5 games behind. Fourth place was our Binghamton Rumble Ponies, finished 69-67, 8 games out of first place. The Reading Fightin' Phils finished after that with a record of 59-78, 18.5 games out of first place. And the New Hampshire, who are the Toronto Blue Jays affiliate, finished in last place with a record of 52-84. They were 25 games out of first place. And looking at the final schedule for this past week, they were on the road in Portland playing the Sea Dogs. They won their game on Tuesday by the final score of 4-3. Won their game on Wednesday by the final score of 8-4. Came back on Thursday, won 9-0. Lost on Friday 6-3. Lost on Saturday 4-2. Won their final game of the year 4-0. So that is it for the Binghamton Rumble Ponies for this season. Hell of a season, I would say. It wasn't necessarily a championship, but hey, not every season can be. Had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Shortly, though, Local Minute is not over. Starting very soon on Friday, October 11th, they'll be on the road, 7:30 p.m. Eastern in the Watertown Arena. It'll be the Binghamton Black Bears starting their defense for their 2023 championship defense, taking on the Watertown Wolves. Then they got a home game. Their first home game of the season is going to be Saturday, October 12th, 7 o'clock Eastern, playing the Watertown Wolves. So hockey season very quickly approaching.
Yes, indeed. Rangerstown.
Hell yeah.
Stand the puck up. We
yeah.
will be talking about that in a couple weeks, but I'm super excited. Hockey is coming back.
Yep, and then we're in the final 2 weeks of the season for the Major League Baseball season.
Finally here.
Yeah, Yankees are on the road this week. They're in Seattle playing 3 games against the Mariners. You got the Oakland Athletics playing 3 games, so it's the Yankees' final trip to the Coliseum. Then they'll be traveling to Sacramento in a AAA facility next year.
Crazy.
Oh, I've listened. That whole story's
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's nuts. I get the feeling it's only going to get more crazy and more nuts. I would not doubt the fact that. Listen, if you're a betting person, throw a $5 or a $10 down on they're not going to go to Vegas. I just got this feeling. It's a mess.
Yeah, to put it mildly, it's just a mess. Like,
Yeah.
there's no other way around it.
And then after that, for the final home, week of the season, the Yankees have 3 games against the Baltimore Orioles and then 3 against the Pittsburgh Pirates to close out the regular season. But for the brackets you got going on right now, Yankees currently the number 1 seed in the American League.
Let's go.
They would be facing potentially the Baltimore Orioles or the Kansas City Royals in the American League Division Series. Kansas City and Baltimore playing each other in the wild card. I'd be all right with either of those, although it'd be a lot more fiery if it were the Baltimore Orioles. See recent history.
No, give me Kansas City. I don't want any part of the Orioles.
Yeah, that's true. On the other side, the Cleveland Guardians are the number 2 seed. They would be playing either the Houston Asterisks or the Minnesota Twins. Listen, I don't doubt either of those teams, especially since Minnesota isn't playing the Yankees in the playoffs. Minnesota playing the Yankees in the playoffs, historically not good.
I would love to see Cleveland. If the Yankees can't get there, I would love to see Cleveland get there.
Sure. After they made it a couple years ago against the Cubs, came up short, but you know what? You never know. Over in the National League side, of course, Philadelphia Phillies, number 1 seed. They could potentially be playing the San Diego Padres or the Arizona Diamondbacks in the division series. I'm going to say probably the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't really trust San Diego in the playoffs.
You never know. And then the number 2 seed is the LA Dodgers, who would be playing either the Milwaukee Brewers or the New York Mets. Boy, that's a toss-up who they'd be facing.
My God.
I know. The Mets are still there.
The Mets are still there.
Shout out to the Grimace seat.
Yeah, like I say, they had better buy stock at McDonald's because of this.
Yeah, McDonald's better give them something.
Yeah, there has to be something on their end to give
also,
back.
wild as it may seem, I know the Dodgers manager has not ruled out the possibility of Shohei pitching in the postseason.
Well, why not? It's postseason.
Because by that point, I think he'd be good at least, from a standpoint of recovery and time since his surgery. So can you imagine, like, if, let's just say hypothetically, they make it to the NLCS or hell, even the World Series, and Shohei makes his first pitching start of the season in the postseason? That'd be wild.
I think it'd be wild, but I think that in like a Game 7 situation, I mean, why not? It's the postseason. Like, you got to do what you got to do.
That's true.
If he can physically do it, you do it.
That's true.
And then last but certainly not least, I mean, we do have some wrestling talk. Not too much on the big shows.
No.
I mean, AEW, everybody's waiting about their TV deal until we actually see a press release. I'm not worried about it.
I do tend to lean towards what John Aurand I forget what he writes for these days. He's a TV sports reporter. He's usually pretty spot on with this stuff. So if you find an article referencing what he said, more than likely that's going to be what ends up being the case.
Yeah, so we'll wait and see about that. I'm not buying any hype about that. If you want more about AEW, obviously Wrestling Night Live every Thursday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Nerd Initiative YouTube.
Yep.
But we did get a little quick update about Bad Blood, the pay-per-view coming for WWE.
Yeah, taking place on Saturday, October 5th from the State Farm Arena in Atlanta, Georgia. Rumor has it Cody is still staking out the complex down there.
Yeah.
Some of the matches we do have announced for this card, you've got Liv Morgan taking on Rhea Ripley in a singles match for the Women's World Championship. Listen, I don't know how that's going to go at this point. I'm here for it, though.
Well, we'll talk about it on the official preview. But yeah, I have a feeling something's going to happen. I just want to see next week's Raw to officially comment on it.
Damian Priest is taking on Finn Balor in a singles match. CM Punk is taking on Drew McIntyre in a Hell in a Cell match.
Great build, but weird promo this week.
Yeah, to say the least. Nia Jax is going to be taking on, well, someone. It's to be determined in a singles match for the Women's Championship.
They're doing an odd setup for that. So I don't doubt that turns into a triple threat between Bayley and Naomi.
And then can they work together? Can they unite to take on the common enemy in a tag team match? You've got Bloodline 2.0 with Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu taking on Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns.
I'm so happy for Jacob Fatu. It's not even funny with this. Like, I mean, coming in and making a big splash like this, and especially in a match of this magnitude.
Yeah.
Which this was the main event about the first SmackDown, not on Fox.
On USA.
But on USA, which I thought they did a really good job with it.
Yep.
I mean, it's like riding a bike. It seemed natural to be on.
Yeah.
But, I mean, great build up for that. But speaking of TV, there is one deal that we got to close out with.
Yeah.
Got from the fine folks at WWE were kind enough to send this to us. Pat?
Yeah, so this is a press release that reads, WWE's iconic Saturday night's main event returns to NBC on December 14th in prime time. Tickets for Saturday night's main event go on sale this Friday, September 20th at 10 a.m. Eastern via Ticketmaster.com. Pre-sale for Saturday night's main event tickets begin this Thursday, September 19th at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. September 17th, 2024, WWE, part of TKO Group's holding, and NBC announced the return of the iconic Saturday night's main event, which will air live on Saturday, December 14th at 8 p.m. Eastern on NBC and simulcast on Peacock. The special will be held at Nassau Veterans Memorial Coliseum on Long Island, New York, the site of the first ever Saturday night's main event. This marks the first primetime special, which will air quarterly on NBC and Peacock as part of WWE's new 5-year domestic media rights partnership with NBC Universal, which officially kicked off last Friday with SmackDown on USA Network. Additionally, official Saturday night's main event priority passes are available now through exclusive partner on location, offering fans premium seating, hospitality events with superstar appearances, exclusive photo opportunities, and more. And to buy now or learn more about Saturday night's main event priority passes, please visit onlocationexp.com/main event. Saturday night's main event originally premiered on NBC in May of 1985. Close quote.
Amazing. I'm all in. All in about this.
If you haven't seen the video they put out about this, do yourself a favor because they brought back some familiar music for it.
Yeah, they went back to the 80s for it. It's fantastic.
Uh-huh.
Super excited to see what they do with this.
It's really good.
I mean,
Yeah.
for being somebody that grew up in that era, those shows always stood out.
And it's coming in at a great time of year just because by that point, college football season's kind of doing its own thing. It's kind of winding down a little bit. You know, it's going to be cold, especially up here in the Northeast. Nobody's going to be really going out. Everyone's going to be staying home. Blanket, hot cup of cocoa. Why not throw on NBC and watch a little bit of wrestling?
Yeah, I'm all about this. All about this.
Absolutely.
So that said, that's all we got for sports this week. So for anything and everything that is the ODPH, you can find it at ODPHpodcast.com. For the one and only Padawan J.
Fuck the Astros.
I'm your host, Ken M. Thank you as always for listening to the ODPH Podcast Sports Edition. We'll see you next time.
It's such waste of time swiping left and swiping right on people you could know. 'Cause anyone who's worth a damn be worth way more than a picture could ever show. You could find the right light, find the right angle, and never find your soul. And it can feel like a losing battle, and this plot is full of holes. This modern way of finding love just makes me feel so alone. And I can't be the only one sick of staring at my phone. So look up, talk to me, a better way to spend our energy. Just look up, talk to me. We don't have to float alone on the open sea. Don't know that I believe in the old time fable. Everyone has just one true love. All I know is you're across this table, and you're all I'm thinking of. So look up, talk to me, a better way to spend our energy. Just look up, talk to me. We don't have to float alone on the open sea. Ooh, talk to me. Talk to me. It's such waste of time swiping left and swiping right on people you could know.